Welcome to HOA Craze. The HOA wanted control, not safety. My name is Marcus Chen. I am a notary public in Spokane, Washington, and I keep everything documented because that is literally my job. I moved to the Evergreen Drift HOA Incorporated community 3 years ago because the neighborhood looked quiet and the dues seemed reasonable. I was wrong about the quiet part. The Evergreen Drift Board treats every homeowner like a suspect during winter, and the woman screaming at me right now is the reason why. She is standing in my driveway at 7:15 on a Tuesday morning, pointing at the 2-inch dusting of snow on my walkway like I just committed a felony. Her name is Karen Stewart. She is the pool and amenities chair, and she controls neighborhood access like a bouncer at an exclusive club. She is wearing a red belted wool coat, red earmuffs, and her red hair is pulled into a bun, so tight it looks painful. In her gloved hand, she is holding a small handheld stamp, and she just slammed it onto a piece of paper on her clipboard. No readable text, just the loud thwack of authority. "You do not shovel to my standard, you pay to my standard," she says, her voice cutting through the morning cold. I have my ice scraper in one hand because I was literally in the middle of clearing my windshield. My garage door is open because I need to get my daughter to school pickup by 3:30, and if this escalates into a tow situation, I am stranded. That matters because I am up for a promotion at the notary firm, and background checks are coming. A lien or legal mess on my record could kill the offer. Karen does not care about any of that. "Your garage door has been open for 11 minutes, she continues. "That is a violation of Section 4-C, and this walkway was not cleared within the required 2-hour window after snowfall cessation." "It stopped snowing 20 minutes ago," I say. She taps her stamp against the clipboard. "The rule is 2 hours. You are in violation. I am issuing a compliance notice, and if you do not rectify immediately, I am authorized to call a tow vendor to verify your vehicle is not obstructing emergency access. My car is in my own driveway." "Your paperwork is cute. Mine has a letterhead," she says, and that is the moment I know this is going to get worse. I take a breath. The cold air stings my lungs. I can see a mail carrier down the block, trying to navigate around a snowbank someone plowed into the street. The whole neighborhood is dealing with the same overnight dusting, but somehow I am the only one getting a visit at dawn. I pull out my phone and start recording. "What are you doing?" Karen snaps. "Documenting this interaction," I say, "for my records." Her face twists. "You do not get to record me on HOA business." "I am on my own property," I say, "and you just threatened to tow my car for being in my driveway." She takes a step closer, and I can smell her coffee breath. "I am going to make a note that you were hostile and uncooperative. That goes in your file." She turns and walks away, her boots crunching in the snow. I watch her pull a small snow gauge stake out of her coat pocket and jam it into the edge of my lawn, right next to the walkway. She does not say anything, just plants it there, like she is marking territory. I filmed the whole thing. That snow gauge stake is going to show up again. And again. And again. I finish scraping my windshield, close the garage, and drive my daughter to school. The whole way, I am thinking about that stake. Why would Karen plant a measurement tool in my yard without asking? What is she measuring? And why does it feel like she is setting me up? By the time I get to the office, I have 3 emails waiting, all from the Evergreen Drift Management Company. The subject lines are identical, no readable text, just forwarded compliance notices. I open the first one. It is a formal warning about my garage door being open during restricted hours. The second is about my walkway snow removal delay. The third is about an alleged ice hazard on my driveway approach that I need to remedy within 24 hours, or face a $50 fine. I print all 3 and add them to my file. I have been keeping a file on the HOA since month 2 because I learned fast that Evergreen Drift does not operate on good faith. They operate on technicalities, selective enforcement, and sudden emergency rules that appear whenever someone on the board has a grudge. Karen has a grudge. I do not know why yet, but I am going to find out. At lunch, I call my friend Rachel, who works at the Spokane County Courthouse. She has helped me navigate filing procedures before, and she knows the local HOA scene. "They are targeting you," she says immediately. "If they are sending vendors to your door without notice and planting measurement tools, they are building a case." "A case for what?" I ask. "A lien, or an amenity ban, or both. Pool and amenities chairs have more power than people think. If Karen decides you are a problem, she can lock you out of the clubhouse, the gym, the guest parking, all of it. And if you fight it, she will bury you in fees. I tell her about the snow gauge stake. Rachel goes quiet for a second. That is not normal. If she is measuring accumulation on your property without your consent, she is either trying to prove you are not shoveling fast enough, or she is trying to prove your snow pile is too high and violating a drainage rule. Either way, she is creating evidence. What do? I ask. Document everything. Take photos of the stake every day. If she moves it or changes it, you will have proof. And start checking your HOA covenants for any amendments or emergency rules they passed without proper notice. If they are enforcing something that was not in the original docs, you can challenge it. I thank her and hang up. Then, I drive home and take 40 photos of that snow gauge stake from every angle. I measure the distance from my walkway, from the curb, from my front door. I note the time, the weather, the snow depth. I am a notary. This is what I do. 2 days later, the stake is gone. I check my phone. I have the photos. I know it was there, but now the spot is empty, just a small hole in the frozen ground where the stake used to be. That night, I get another email. This one is from Karen, directly, not the management company. The subject line says, "Final courtesy notice," and the body is 3 sentences. Your property continues to present a safety hazard during winter weather events. You are required to attend a compliance hearing on February 14th at 6 p.m. in the clubhouse. Failure to attend will result in automatic penalties. No details about what the hazard is, no photos, no measurements, just a demand that I show up and defend myself. I forward the email to Rachel. She calls me 10 minutes later. They are setting a trap. If you go to that hearing alone, they will railroad you. Bring evidence. Bring a witness if you can. And do not let them bully you into admitting fault. I spend the weekend gathering documents. I print every email, every notice, every photo of the snow gauge stake. I compile a timeline showing that Karen has been targeting me specifically while ignoring identical conditions on other properties. I screenshot the neighborhood group chat where someone posted a picture of my driveway with the caption, "Hazard alert, this guy thinks rules do not apply." The post has 16 comments, all piling on. I do not recognize half the names. On Monday, I get a knock at my door. I open it to find a man in a bright yellow safety vest holding a clipboard. He says he is with a contracted inspection service and he is here to verify compliance with HOA snow removal standards. I did not request an inspection, I say. It is part of the association enforcement process, he says. I just need to take some photos and measurements. Do you have a work order? I ask. He blinks. The HOA sent me. I need to see documentation that you are authorized to be on my property. He shifts his weight. Look, man, I am just doing my job. If you do not cooperate, I have to report that you refused access. I am not refusing access. I am asking for documentation. He mutters something under his breath and walks back to his truck. I watch him sit there for 5 minutes, typing on his phone. Then, he drives away. 10 minutes later, I get a call from the management company. The woman on the phone sounds annoyed. Mr. Chen, we have a report that you refused a compliance inspection. That is a violation of your covenants. I did not refuse, I say. I asked for documentation, and he could not provide any. The inspector was sent by the board. You are required to cooperate. Show me the rule that says I have to let an unidentified contractor onto my property without a work order. She pauses. I will have to check with the board and get back to you. She does not get back to me. Instead, I get another email from Karen. This one says, I am being fined $75 for obstruction of HOA business. I forward it to Rachel. This is harassment, she says. File a formal dispute with the management company, cite the lack of documentation, and demand they reverse the fine, and keep recording everything. I draft the dispute that night. I cite the covenant sections that require proper notice and documentation. I attach the photos of the snow gauge stake, the timeline of emails, and the screenshot of the group chat post. I send it certified mail to the management company and copy the board. 3 days later, I get a response. It is a 1-sentence email, no readable signature, just a line that says, "Your dispute has been received and is under review." That is it. No timeline, no acknowledgement of my evidence, just a vague promise that someone will look at it eventually. Meanwhile, the snow keeps falling. Spokane gets hit with a snow squall that rolls in suddenly on a Thursday afternoon, dumping 4 inches in 2 hours. I shovel my walkway twice, salt the driveway, and clear the approach to the street. I take photos every 30 minutes to document my compliance. Karen shows up anyway. She is standing at the end of my driveway, holding her clipboard. When I come outside with the snow shovel, she has the handheld stamp in her other hand, and she is already filling out a form. "You are not in compliance," she says. "I just shoveled," I say. "Not to standard. There is still accumulation on your walkway edge." She points to a half-inch strip of snow along the border, where the concrete meets the grass. It is the kind of thing that melts by noon. "That is not a violation," I say. "I determine what is a violation," she says, "and I am issuing you a notice." I pull out my phone and start recording again. "Stop that," she snaps. "I am documenting your enforcement actions. You are harassing me. I am standing on my own property, and you are issuing me a notice for a half-inch of snow." She leans in close, and her voice drops. "You think you are clever with your photos and your paperwork, but I have been doing this for 8 years, and I know every trick. Your paperwork is cute. Mine has a letterhead." There it is, the boomerang line. I make a mental note. That phrase is going to come back to haunt her. She slaps the notice onto my mailbox and walks away. I film her the whole time. When she gets to her car, she looks back at me and smiles. It is not a friendly smile. That night, I get a group text on the neighborhood chat. Someone has posted a new message. "Compliance update. All residents are reminded that snow removal is mandatory within 2 hours of snowfall cessation. Repeat offenders will face escalated penalties, including amenity suspension." The message does not name me, but the timing is obvious. 16 people react with thumbs up. I mute the chat. The next morning, I find a tow sticker on my windshield. It is bright orange, stuck right in the center of the glass, and it says my vehicle is subject to immediate removal for obstructing emergency access. My car is in my driveway. Again. I peel the sticker off and add it to my file. Then, I call the tow company. The dispatcher says they were called by the HOA to tag vehicles in violation of parking rules. "What rule?" I ask. She reads from a script. "Properties with unresolved compliance issues are subject to vehicle removal to ensure emergency access." My car is not blocking anything. "You will need to take that up with the HOA," she says, and hangs up. I call the management company. I get voicemail. I leave a message explaining the situation and demanding an immediate response. No one calls back. 2 days later, I get another email. This one is from the management company, and it says my dispute packet has been lost and I need to resubmit. "I lost it," I say out loud to my empty kitchen. I send a second certified copy. I include a cover letter, noting that this is the second submission and that the delay is unacceptable. A week goes by. No response. I call Rachel. She tells me to file a complaint with the state HOA ombudsman and to start preparing for the hearing. She also tells me to bring a recorder, because if the board tries to misrepresent what happens, I will need proof. The hearing is in 3 days. On the day before the hearing, I get a knock at my door. It is the same inspector from before, the one in the yellow vest. This time, he has a different clipboard and a camera. "I am here to document non-compliance," he says. "With what?" I ask. He looks at his notes. "Ice hazard on the driveway approach and inadequate snow pile placement." "I just cleared everything yesterday." He shrugs. "I am just following the work order." "Let me see the work order." He hesitates, then shows me a printout. It has the Evergreen Drift logo at the top, but no readable details, just boxes and check marks. At the bottom, there is a signature. I cannot read the name, but the handwriting looks familiar. It looks like Karen's handwriting. I let him take his photos. He spends 10 minutes walking around my driveway, measuring snow piles that do not exist, and taking close-ups of invisible ice. Then, he leaves. That night, I get an email with his report attached. It claims I have a 2-inch ice sheet on my driveway and a snow pile blocking drainage. Both claims are lies. I take my own photos showing clear pavement and proper drainage. I timestamp everything. I add it to the file. The file is now 3 inches thick. The hearing is the next day at 6 p.m. I arrive at the clubhouse at 5:50. Rachel meets me in the parking lot. She is holding a folder and a small digital recorder. Ready, she asks. No, I say, but let us do this anyway. Inside, the clubhouse conference room is set up like a courtroom. There is a long table at the front where 5 board members are sitting. Karen is in the center, flanked by the president and the treasurer. The other 2 members look uncomfortable. There are about a dozen residents in the audience, all watching. I recognize some of them from the group chat. I sit down at the small table facing the board. Rachel sits next to me. I put my file on the table and pull out my reflective triangle marker, the one I keep in my pocket for emergencies. I fold it and set it on the corner of the table, a small reminder that I am prepared. The president clears his throat. This hearing is to address multiple compliance violations filed against the property at, he reads my address. Mr. Chen, you have been accused of failure to maintain snow removal standards, obstruction of HOA inspections, and creating a safety hazard. Do you have anything to say? I have documentation showing that every accusation is false, I say. Karen interrupts. You were given multiple opportunities to comply. You refused. I asked for documentation, I say. That is not refusal. You obstructed our inspector. I asked him to provide a work order. He could not. The board president holds up a hand. Let's keep this orderly. Miss Stewart, please present your evidence. Karen opens a binder. She pulls out a stack of photos. They show my driveway from various angles, all taken during or immediately after snowfall. She points to patches of snow and ice that are barely visible. As you can see, she says, Mr. Chen has consistently failed to clear his walkway and driveway to the required standard. This creates a hazard for mail carriers, delivery drivers, and emergency personnel. I was shoveling when some of those photos were taken, I say. You were not shoveling fast enough. The covenant does not specify a speed requirement. It specifies a 2-hour window. And I was within that window, every time. She pulls out another document. This is a report from our contracted inspector, confirming ice accumulation and improper snow pile placement. That report is fabricated, I say. I have photos taken the same day showing clear pavement. Karen smiles. Your photos do not have timestamps. Yes, they do, I say, and I pull out my phone. I open the gallery and show the metadata. Every photo has a date, time, and GPS coordinate. The board president leans forward. May I see those? I hand him my phone. He scrolls through the photos, his expression neutral, then he hands it back. These appear to show compliance, he says. Karen's smile fades. Those could be doctored. They are not, I say, and I have more. I open my file and pull out the printed emails, the timeline, the screenshots from the group chat. I lay them out on the table one by one. Here is the email where Miss Stewart threatened to tow my car for being in my own driveway. Here is the work order she signed for an inspector who showed up unannounced. Here is the group chat post calling me a hazard, posted within an hour of her visit. And here, I pull out the last document, is a photo of the snow gauge stake she planted in my yard, without permission. Karen sits up straight. That stake is for measurement purposes. You put it on my property without asking. It is for the association's records. Show me the rule that allows you to install measurement devices on private property without consent. She does not answer. The board president looks at the treasurer. Did we authorize this? The treasurer shakes his head. Not that I recall. I continue. I have submitted 2 formal dispute packets, both of which the management company claims to have lost. I have been fined, threatened with towing, and publicly shamed in the group chat, all for compliance issues that I can prove are false. And I have evidence that Miss Stewart has been selectively enforcing rules against me while ignoring identical conditions on other properties. Prove it, Karen says. I pull out my phone again and open a folder of photos I took over the last 2 weeks. I show images of driveways on 3 other streets, all with the same or worse snow accumulation than mine. None of them have notices. None of them have stakes. None of them have been targeted. Why am I the only one getting inspected, I ask. Karen's face is red now. Because you are the only one who refuses to cooperate. I asked for documentation. You are hostile. I am thorough. There is a difference. The room is silent. The board president looks at Karen, then at me, then at the other board members. We will take this under advisement, he says. You will receive a decision within 10 business days. That is it. No apology, no acknowledgement that Karen has been out of line, just a vague promise to think about it. I gather my documents and leave. Rachel follows me out. That went better than I expected, she says. They are going to side with her, I say. They always do. Maybe, but you got your evidence on record. If they rule against you, you have grounds for an appeal. I do not want an appeal. I want this to stop. Rachel puts a hand on my shoulder. Then you need to find the thing that makes them stop, the thing they cannot ignore. I already know what that thing is. I have been holding on to it, waiting for the right moment. I watched her pile on threats, because that is exactly what I needed her to do. 2 days after the hearing, I get the decision. It is an email from the board president. The subject line says compliance determination, and the body is 4 sentences. After reviewing the evidence, the board has determined that you remain in violation of snow removal standards. You are fined $150 and suspended from amenity access for 30 days. Continued non-compliance will result in further penalties. This decision is final. No mention of my evidence, no acknowledgement of the photos, the timeline, or the selective enforcement, just a flat ruling that I am guilty. I forward the email to Rachel. She calls me immediately. They are trying to ban you from amenities entirely. That is the escalation step. If you do not fight this now, they will lock you out of everything and start moving toward a lien. I know, I say. And I am done playing defense. What are you going to do? I am going to deploy the trump card. I hang up and open my laptop. I pull up the folder where I have been storing the video files from my phone. I find the one I need. It is from the day Karen planted the snow gauge stake. But that is not the only thing it shows. I scrub through the footage carefully. At the 2-minute mark, Karen walks to the edge of my lawn. She pulls the stake out of her coat pocket, but before she plants it, she looks around. Then, she reaches into her other pocket and pulls out a small envelope, the kind that holds HOA notices. If you are enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe, because it gets even better from here. She sets the envelope on the ground, half hidden under the snow. Then she plants the stake next to it. Then she takes a photo with her phone, making it look like the notice has been there for days. She is backdating evidence. I have it on video, timestamped, clear as day. I make 3 copies of the video file. I upload one to a secure cloud account. I save one to a USB drive. I keep one on my phone. Then I email the board president and request an emergency hearing. I cite new evidence that materially affects the compliance determination. I do not tell him what the evidence is. I just say it is time-sensitive and directly related to Ms. Stewart's conduct. He replies within an hour. Emergency hearing granted. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. I spend the rest of the day preparing. I print a transcript of the video timestamps. I write a 2-page summary of what the video shows. I prepare a formal complaint against Karen for evidence tampering and harassment. Rachel meets me at the clubhouse again. This time, she brings a lawyer friend who specializes in HOA disputes. His name is Tom, and he has a briefcase that looks more expensive than my car. This is going to be ugly, Tom says, but if your video is as clear as you say, they will have no choice but to act. We walk in together. The conference room is packed. The board is there. Karen is there. And this time, there are at least 20 residents in the audience. Word has gotten around. The board president opens the meeting. Mr. Chen, you requested this emergency hearing. What new evidence do you have? I stand up. I have video footage showing that Miss Stewart planted evidence on my property and staged photos to make it appear I had received violation notices that I had not actually received. The room erupts. People start talking over each other. Karen jumps to her feet. That is a lie, she shouts. I hold up my phone. I have the video right here. The board president bangs his hand on the table. Order. Everyone sit down. Karen sits, but her face is bright red. I walk to the front of the room. I connect my phone to the TV screen on the wall. I pull up the video file. This was recorded on February 8th at 7:20 a.m., I say. Watch carefully. I hit play. The video shows Karen walking to my lawn. She looks around. She pulls out the envelope. She sets it on the ground. She plants the stake. She takes the photo. The room is silent. I pause the video. As you can see, Miss Stewart placed a notice envelope on my property and staged a photo to make it look like I had been properly notified. This is evidence tampering. It is also harassment, and it violates multiple sections of our governing documents. Karen stands up again. That is taken out of context. There is no context where this is acceptable, Tom says, standing up next to me. Your actions constitute fraud and selective enforcement, and if the board does not take immediate action, my client will be filing a formal complaint with the state ombudsman and pursuing legal remedies. The board president looks at Karen. Is this true? I was trying to document non-compliance, she says. By planting fake evidence? It was not fake. He was in violation. The video shows you creating the violation, I say. She opens her mouth, then closes it. Her hands are shaking. The treasurer speaks up. I move that we suspend Miss Stewart from her position pending a full investigation. Seconded, says another board member. The vote is 4-1. Karen votes against her own suspension, but it does not matter. She is out. The board president looks at me. Mr. Chen, in light of this evidence, we are reversing the compliance determination. Your fine is voided, your amenity suspension is lifted, and we will be issuing a formal apology. I nod. I also request that the board adopt new policies requiring documented proof and 2 approvals before any tow can be ordered. The president hesitates, then nods. We will bring that to the next board meeting. Karen grabs her coat and storms out. On her way, she turns and looks at me. Your paperwork is cute, mine has a letterhead, she says. Not anymore, I say. The door slams behind her. The next week, I get an email from the management company. It is a written reversal from management with a real citation against Karen for harassment behavior. She has been issued a written warning for harassment behavior and is prohibited from initiating any enforcement actions without board approval. The week after that, the board holds a special meeting. They vote to adopt the new tow policy. They also vote to require all compliance inspections to include photographic evidence, timestamps, and signed work orders. And they vote to remove the snow gauge stake requirement from the winter rules. 3 residents file formal complaints about selective enforcement, citing my case as precedent. The management company is forced to review every violation notice issued in the last 6 months. They find 12 cases where notices were backdated or improperly issued. All 12 are reversed. Karen resigns from the board 2 weeks later. She sends a 1-sentence email to the association. Effective immediately, I am stepping down from my position as pool and amenities chair. End quote. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just a quiet exit. But the damage is done. The HOA stops selective enforcement after complaints pile up, and the new policies make it almost impossible for one person to weaponize the rules. The board starts requiring transparency, documentation, and fairness. It is not perfect, but it is better. I run into the mail carrier a few weeks later. He is the same guy who was trying to get through the snowbank that first morning. He recognizes me. Hey, you are the guy who took down the HOA lady, he says. I just held her accountable, I say. Well, the whole neighborhood is talking about it. People are saying you saved us from a tyrant. I would not go that far. He laughs. Trust me, man, she made everyone miserable. You did us a favor. He hands me my mail and keeps walking. That night, I get a message on the neighborhood group chat. It is from someone I do not recognize. Thank you for standing up to the board. A lot of us were too scared to say anything. You made this place livable again. 16 people react with hearts. I smile and close the app. A month later, I get the promotion at work. The background check comes back clean. No liens, no legal issues, just a notary public with a spotless record who happens to know how to document everything. I celebrate by taking my daughter to dinner. She asks me why I am in such a good mood. I won, I say. Won what? A fight I did not want to have. She shrugs and goes back to her phone. Kids. The Evergreen Drift HOA still exists, the board still meets, the rules are still there. But now, they are enforced fairly, and the people in charge know that if they step out of line, someone will be watching. Someone with a camera, a file folder, and a very good memory. I keep the video file saved in 3 places. I do not think I will ever need it again. But just in case, I am ready. Because in a neighborhood where leadership treats neighbors like suspects during winter, the best defense is a good paper trail. And I have the best paper trail in Spokane. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you being here.